Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. Can you believe we're already down a week? And in case we haven't met, I'm Rolene Marks, and I bring you the top stories from Israel and surrounds on this very platform. And if you would also like it on YouTube, no worries, we've got you covered. You can find us at the Israel Brief, and all you have to do is click on the red subscribe button and you will be notified every time we upload. But let's get into those top stories before we head off to the weekend, and we begin with the COVID-19 crisis and where Israel is. And I must say, it was very heartwarming just moments ago to see the Daily Mail, one of the most widely read publications in the world, covering the success story of Israel's vaccination program and also the important research that is coming out of the vaccine rollout. And we spoke a little bit about it yesterday, but if you are by your computer, check out the Daily Mail and read that article right there. Meanwhile, the man they call the coronavirus SARS, Professor Nachman Ash, has said that he will ask for the lockdown in Israel to be extended by at least another week. This is because the rate of infections is still high, and we want to get those numbers down before we start lifting the lockdown. But while we are asking for this to be extended, it has been said by some health officials that perhaps Israel's third wave has already peaked. And hopefully the government will start their green passport rollout as we start to exit the lockdown. While we are speaking about medical issues, let's now turn to the Gaza Strip. And Hamas have told a US-based Christian charity that their field hospital is not welcome. The field hospital has been set up in no man's land and would allow for patients who are in need of medical attention to visit there. Hamas have said that they are strapped with insufficient services in the Gaza Strip, and disallowing their civilians to go to this field hospital is their way of protesting. And it does beg the question that this inhumane practice, why it's not being covered by the mainstream media. Meanwhile, Israel has faced a lot of criticism through some of the mainstream media outlets for not vaccinating Palestinians. And as we've been continuously reiterating on the Israel Brief, the Palestinian Health Ministry at the outset have said that they will not ask for and don't want any help from Israel. If they want help from Israel, they will ask if needed. And Israel has said that we will happily comply. However, our priority is to vaccinate our own citizens. Meanwhile, the United Nations have, over the corona crisis, lauded Israel's cooperation with the Palestinians. And in our final story, we're still staying with the Palestinians, but this time in education. And Impact, an NGO or non-governmental organization that measures school curricula, has released their brand new study where they have found that the UNRWA schools, this is the United Nations Relief Work Agency that is geared specifically towards Palestinians, that their curricula, their textbooks are filled with anti-Israel and anti-Semitic racist incitement, including the glorification of terrorism and not accepting under any circumstances normalization or peace with Israelis, as well as saying absolutely no to any kind of peace and the glorification of violence. Now, it emerged a couple of weeks ago that Israel and the United Arab Emirates were working together to try and put an end to UNRWA. And you will remember that the Trump administration quite famously pulled their funding from the UN agency, stating that it perpetuates a situation of refugee or victimhood and does not do the peace process any kind of good. So those are the top stories making headlines here in Israel as we head on into the weekend, and it's going to be a cold and rainy one here in Israel. And while we are still in lockdown, as many of you are around the world, and you're looking for that companion, look no further than our website, where you can find us on www.layoftheland.com. Online. Our content is there. We're also on Facebook at Lottle Site. Please give us a like or a follow. We're really trying to grow our online community. You can follow us on Twitter as well at Lay of the Land with a digit 5. That's Lay of the Land 5. And we know that you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief. So from all of us at Lay of the Land and the Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks, wishing you a safe and a healthy weekend. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll talk to you next week.